Ever since we got the news that there was going to be a spin-off TV series from The Batman, which was my favourite film of 2022, I was just super excited. This was like one of the things I was most looking forward to in the realm of TV and film. The Penguin, based on obviously Colin Farrell's iteration of the Penguin that appeared in the movie, which again was one of the highlights of that movie. A whole series based around him. Bring it. I was really excited, couldn't wait for it. So I set my alarm. I woke up this morning before my whole family had got up. The specific intention to watch the first episode. Watch it, I have done. Now it's time to give you my thoughts. I loved this. I thought it was great. It lived up to my hopes, my expectations, what I wanted from this show. Colin Farrell is absolutely brilliant as the Penguin. We saw what he could do in the film, but he was quite a small part of that film, even though he hit with every kind of scene that he was in. Whereas here, he's got to carry the show. Will it work? Will the character work? Will what they have in mind work when he's carrying the show? And I have to say, absolutely, it does. So we're picking up just days after the Riddler flooded Gotham in The Batman. Everything's in disarray. The Carmine Falcone operation is all kind of up for grabs. It looks like his son, Al, is going to take over operations, but he's a bit of a loose cannon, a bit of a druggie. He's not really the kind of person who looks like he's going to be able to successfully run an operation. So this first episode really kicks into gear after like a couple of opening scenes, and like a monumental thing happens within the life of Oswald Cobblepot. He does something due to his temperament, and that really sets everything off into motion, because he then has to cover it up. He then has to lie to people about where he was, what may have happened, this, that and the other. And the more he lies, the more people get involved, and the more he is essentially going to be under the microscope and has to cover his tracks. In that sense, we do feel his struggle, being at the bottom rung, not being able to just wave his hand and have stuff done. He's really got to make things happen. Now, to help us navigate our way through this world, we are introduced to a new character called Victor, who's this kid. He's a teenager who the Penguin catches him basically trying to rob his rims off his car. And as a result, Victor gets sucked into Penguin's world. It's either that or a bullet in the head, basically. It's like, look, you come work for me, kid. I'll show you the ropes. Or, you know, we can just end it now, put a bullet in your head, and I've done with it. Obviously, he doesn't take the second choice. So this kid's kind of like a nervous, twitchy kid. He's got a bit of a stammer, you know, he's a nervous stammer. And I think it's a good choice to add this character, because it kind of allows us to see Penguin's world from a first-timer standpoint, like using him to kind of walk us through everything. It gives someone that Penguin can talk to give us information, essentially. It allows him to kind of give exposition to us, because we don't know certain things, but he's giving him to this kid because he also, like us, doesn't know certain things. So essentially, he is our gateway to certain aspects of this world. So it's a sensible choice, I think, to put that character in there. But also, I can see, even just from this first episode, I can see how their relationship may possibly develop over the course of this show. Is possibly going to be one of the strong points of it. There's some amusing moments. There's some scary moments in the way that, you know, like at first you fear for this kid, because you don't know whether is Penguin just going to take him out anyway. But by the end of the episode, I'm leaning more towards the fact that no, this is going to be someone that Penguin genuinely takes under his wing, and maybe even grows to have some affection for. But I like the dynamic between the two of them. They're both kids who don't come from money. They've had to fight their way into this world, and kind of, yeah, steal what they have, essentially. But we do get some nice comedy moments that kind of come out of their relationship and the dynamic between them, like, not least of which Oswald's choice in music. There's one particular scene when he gets into one of his cars and the CD just comes on, and I'll leave you to watch the show to find out just what that is, but it's rather amusing to think that Penguin sits there listening to a certain someone in his spare time. This episode does borrow from the rather famous Batman story, The Long Halloween. Completely different in many respects, but it uses certain elements from that story, most notably the stuff involving the Falcone crime family. So we have Sophia Falcone in this, and as I already stated, Alberto Falcone. Now, in that story, in the Long Halloween story, there's certain things that happen with those two characters, but in a different context, that happen here. So you can see how they've pulled them elements from that story, even though they're not telling that story. As a fan, I appreciate that. On the subject of Sophia Falcone, she is played by Kristen Milotti, who is excellent here. I've not seen her in anything before, but every time I've shown someone the trailer for The Penguin, nearly every time they've gone, oh, it's her from such and such. I gather she's been in a well-received TV show that a lot of people really liked her in, that clearly I've been sleeping under a rock on, because, like I say, until this, I'd never heard of her. But it's not surprising that she made an impact on people when I showed the trailer, because she's brilliant here. So she plays, as I say, Sophia Falcone, who's an absolute psychopath. She's just got out of Arkham Asylum, a nice little nod there. We also get Blackgate Prison in this episode, which I like. For comic book fans, you'll know that's, the distinction between what kind of villain you are in the Batman universe is made by which one of those two institutions you end up at. So in this we get Maroni, played by Clancy Brown, who is in Blackgate Prison, so we know what kind of villain he is. And then obviously Sophia, coming out of Arkham, tells you a little bit about what kind of villain she is in this Batman world. Even though she remains calm and composed throughout most of this, you always get the sense there's all this madness bubbling underneath the surface, and she keeps that tension all the way through her performance in this episode. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where they're going to take her character. We get to explore a certain side of Penguin's character, most notably the relationship he has with his mother. That has been explored in other shows. It was explored in Gotham, although this takes a much different tack here. It's something that has been explored in the comic books, not to any great depth, I would say, not as much depth as we've had in TV, but I like that being a primary factor in determining who it is Oswald Cobblepot kind of becomes, and why he does the things that he does. Now, I don't know what the budget was for this TV series, but obviously when you do TV, you tend to be on a more limiting budget than what you might get for a Hollywood movie. As I say, I don't know, but one of the big challenges that arises out of that, when you usually get your budget cut, is that how do you keep the world that you set up in the movie in the TV show? It's got to look the same, it's got to feel the same, you've got to get the sense that this is the same world we were in when we were in the film, and I think they succeed. They definitely succeed here. From the cinematography to the production design, everything feels like the same world. At any point, I do expect Robert Pattinson's Batman to, jump out of the shadows. So yeah, although a lot of this takes place during the daylight, which is helpful because it explains Batman's absence to a large degree. And you get the sense as well just how large this city is, which is another reason, any number of things could be happening without Batman being present, because yeah, some of the cityscape shots we get where you realise actually this is an awfully big place. So obviously this is only the first episode. The series could go anywhere from here. It could take a nosedive in episode 3 or something like that. But certainly on the strength of this first episode, I'm all in. Colour me excited. Can't wait for the next one. 8 episodes in total. So yeah, I loved it personally. I'm sure that comes as no surprise to anyone given my Batman fandom. But yeah, what about you? Have you seen this first episode? Are you excited about what's to come, or was this a bit of a damp squib for you? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this review, and until next time, crack in.